Let's take a little bit more into the upcoming week ahead. We have a game that we would have predicted before this season that it might be for home field advantage in the AFC, and it's Bills-Chiefs. Let's focus on Andy Reid's group. How feared do you think the Chiefs are right now, Jason, considering what you've seen from them in an odd way, shape, and form over the last 4 to 5 weeks?
I think when you look at the Kansas City Chiefs, they have Patrick Mahomes, and no matter how much they're struggling, when you have a quarterback like Mahomes, it always gives you a chance. The tough thing for the Chiefs is we keep waiting for the offense to say, all right, they figured it out. They have this guy that's going to be the addition to Travis Kelce. And you look at that game against the Raiders where next thing you know, Rashee Rice goes off, has over 100 yards, catches that pass, takes it the distance. And then you watch the game versus the Green Bay Packers, and Kelce is leading him and receiving. The next person is about 50 or 60 yards. So you're still trying to figure out where that's going to come from. There's a lot of Sky Moore on the field. There's a lot of other guys we're seeing in that. The young Joker's in there, a guy that we're continuing to wait and see for these guys to step up and be the guy. We saw Pacheco have one of his best games as a running back in the NFL, and they still fall short to the Green Bay Packers. So when you start talking about fear, I think Mahomes' factor, they still have a lot of fear, but I think you're looking at an AFC picture right now, and obviously they beat the Dolphins on there, but now you're looking at an opportunity for teams to say, if the Buffalo Bills can take the Chiefs down, we're talking about the Bills kind of being out at that 11th spot, looking up to everybody. But if they knock the Chiefs down another spot, now you're starting to wonder what's the longevity and where the Chiefs are going to be when it comes to the end.
Yeah, last year they went through this, the Chiefs. They had their offensive struggles, and they said, well, they'll pick it up, they'll figure it out. They're without Tyreek, but they've got enough guys, and they did. And they did. And it was MVS, and it was Juju, and it was Sky Moore, and it was Tony. It hasn't happened yet this season. Interesting, we saw Shaq Leonard sign with the Eagles yesterday. Zach Ertz is really interesting to me. Zach Ertz can still catch passes. The Cardinals were cool enough to grant him his release. And over the weekend, I reported on Fox that he's talking to he's considering the Ravens, the Eagles, two obvious teams with the Ravens tight end. Chiefs, to me, make so much sense. And I wonder if Kansas City says, I know we got a few tight ends and we're good and Kelsey's the guy, but like, we don't care if it's tight end, wide receiver, or what. We need someone else who can catch passes down the stretch. We need someone who's reliable and who's been there. Zach Ertz in a Chiefs uniform makes a lot of sense to me. Let's see if they go after him and try to pursue that.
Peter, did we hear Harbaugh yesterday just pretty much come out and say, like, no thanks, we're not in the sweepstakes
I like
anymore?
our tight end position. We'll see. Harbaugh can say that on a Monday, and then on Wednesday, it's like, well, it's not. Well, yeah, we actually talked about it more since then. Ertz, to me, is really interesting. He might be the factor here in the AFC as another pass catcher that could take one of these teams over the top.
We did our college-style top 4 teams in the NFL yesterday. I think we all had Baltimore. I know I did. The Andrews thing is big. I think he's the second best player in their entire team, and we know Lamar loves him. And then when you get to January, is he going to be looking for him? I don't know. All I know is that I think the biggest picture here for this whole thing with Kansas City, even if they end up at 2 or they stay at 3, uncharted waters. If you get to the place where you actually get Mahomes to play a road game, where he has to go to Miami, or he has to go, it's never happened, never. The weird Super Bowl, if you want to say the Tampa Bay thing, fine. But this would be a new thing for him, 5, 6 years, whatever the hell he is into his career. And I think a victory for the AFC. I think when you watch their games, Jason, you're on it. Good things happen when it's Pacheco, when it's Kelce, and when it's Rice. They seem to have settled on kind of a set of triplets. When you go to the MVS and the Jokas and the Skies, like, it just gets dicey. You know, Watson's had some good moments. He's had some not so good moments.
Noah Gray right there,
It's those seem to be the guys that most consistently produce. And I don't know if that's enough. Like, you know, Peter, we need to bring sand to the beach, and Zach Ertz needs to go to the Mahomes offense. Like, do they need that?
I'm watching this game Sunday night, and they're in the red zone, and Kadarius Toney.
What's going on?
Inexplicably runs it, doesn't know what the rules are. They get a flag, and like, you got to think, this is now week 14. Like, is Kadarius Toney going to be put in a big spot where he's going to have a key penalty? And they had a lot of penalties and a lot of drops. And like, to me, Ertz, that's a safety valve. Like, it's something. I don't know if Mahomes would ever put any of these guys under the bus. That's not his style. But I have to think Mahomes is so frustrated with these other receivers right now who are just dropping passes, and even Kelsey's dropped a few.
That's what's so amazing to me, because as you watch them, there's so many guys that play. Sky Moore's in there, Kadarius Toney's in there, Richie James is in there. So McCole Harmon gets in there. Watson's in there. And you're just like, to Kyle's point, if they've settled on their 3, why isn't Rashee Rice in there 90% of the plays and trying to figure out how to get those guys in the exact spots? I'm not questioning Andy Reid. He obviously knows what he's doing. But as they're still trying to figure out, to your point, Mahomes throws a deep one to MVS, and it goes incomplete, and they go right back to Mahomes, and it's the hands on the helmet again, and it looks like they're just never on the same page.
Was it Rashee Rice who Andy Reid was referencing? Was it just last week where he said he's working on becoming Patrick Mahomes friendly? And it is, you can look at that both ways. Like, oh, that's a good thing, but also it is, to your point, it's week 13, 14. Shouldn't we have been friendlier to the quarterback a little earlier this season? Curious about the Chiefs. Are they likened to the Eagles in the NFC? However, the Eagles have won the games or it's been close. The Chiefs have seemingly lost games where they are right in it. Where's the defense? Where's the state of the defense of the Chiefs right now? Because we just listed off 27 names offensively. Yeah. Are they the ones that are keeping them in the games at this point?
Yes, their defense has been incredible this entire season. They've willed them through games and kept them in games, even to the Raiders game, where in the first half the offense was not there and the defense held it down. In the second half, the offense came storming. The issue was the defense didn't play great against the Packers, and next thing you know, they didn't have it on offense to be able to come back and win that game. So that's the question.
You're one of these teams in the wild cards, and to answer the question about fear, would you rather go to Arrowhead or you want to go to Miami or you want to go to Baltimore? You're a defender on these wild card teams. Would you like, let's take our chances with the Chiefs or we'll mess with that Miami machine?
I think this is probably the first year we can say it where I think you talk about the Miami offense and what they've been able to do, and then Lamar Jackson, what he's been able to do in Baltimore. The fear, I would be afraid to go to Miami and to Baltimore. I'm not saying I wouldn't be fearful to go see Mahomes, but if I'm picking one, I'm picking those top two right now.
Meanwhile, Buffalo, they can come and spoil the whole party and flip the table this weekend. But they have no fear going into Arrowhead. They've done it before.
Feels like it's been a long time since we've seen the Bills play. They were on a bye last week, so this all of a sudden connecting the dots comes very curious this weekend.